Hello and welcome back to the Follow Your Spark podcast. It's your host, Gina Casbarro, and I'm coming on for a solo episode today that I know is going to be incredibly valuable. And no matter who you are, I'm sure you're going to be able to relate to this because today's podcast episode is all about failure gold and how not reaching your goals can actually be incredibly valuable. So if you've been looking back on this year or any other goals in your life and feeling like you've failed, this episode is going to help you look back on the journey and really distill all the lessons and learnings and insights that can be incredibly valuable to you, that could even be more valuable than potentially having hit your goals in the first place. I'm going to start by sharing the top 9 most valuable lessons and gifts and treasures that I experienced this year from not hitting my revenue goals in my business. And then I'll share a lens from which you can look at your own life and your own goals to help you distill failure gold and really learn from everything you've experienced, no matter what results that you've produced. You ready? Let's dive in. Okay, so this year, I had a big goal in my business to double my revenue. And even though my income grew and my profit grew in my business this year, I didn't quite hit that income goal that I was aiming for. So when I did my yearly evaluations, I asked myself, okay, what did I learn in this process? What are the biggest lessons, gifts, and treasures that came from actually not reaching my goal? And how could this experience that I had be actually more valuable than had I reached that goal in the first place, like I had planned? So when I started reflecting on these questions, the first gift or lesson that came through was learning to validate myself internally instead of seeking for external validation. Now, I've been on a journey for many years of being present to the societal programming and belief systems that I've had and been indoctrinated to believe around the amount of money that we make, being connected to how valuable I am and my worth, and really using that number or any number as a measurement of success. Even if I didn't necessarily need that number, just using whatever arbitrary number I chose as this level of success. So this year, as I wasn't quite hitting the goals that I was setting for myself monthly, quarterly, and ultimately yearly, it sparked this invitation to examine these beliefs and really see where was I attaching my belief in myself to external validation? Where was I attaching a number on my income to reinforce my beliefs of my worthiness, my capacity, my impact as a coach? So not hitting these goals was an invitation to shift those beliefs and begin to again come back to, what does success mean to me? What do I want to believe about myself, whether I hit these numbers or not? And I was able to stop making it so personal, these numbers that I was hitting, and was able to build myself up from the inside out without needing external numbers to validate me. And again, this skill is going to be so valuable because as I continue to grow my business, I'm going to continue to set bigger and bigger and bigger goals. And if I continued to reach for external validation to make me feel successful, anytime I'm not hitting goals, my belief is going to waver. And I'm not going to have that internal foundation, that internal bedrock of belief that no matter what is going on externally, I know who I am. I believe in myself. I believe in my worthiness. I believe in my impact. And that doesn't have to shift based off of what I'm earning month to month. The next biggest lesson or gift was around surrendering attachment. And this was a huge lesson that came up in so many different areas in 2025, both personally and professionally. And while on some level, I think I believed, okay, I'm not attached to this goal of 100K, which was my revenue goal for this year. Clearly I was, because again, my emotions, my energy would waver depending on how close or how far I was to achieving this goal. So I realized where I was grasping, where I was holding on to this, and the impact and the suffering I was creating because I was so attached to this. And the impact is that when I'm in attachment, when any of us are in attachment, if we're pursuing any kind of goal, that energy is going to come through. Even though I'm super connected to the value of this work, why I do it, the impact that it has for my clients, like I am so fired up about my mission and so committed to my people and my clients getting the results that they want to create in their life. And if I am attached to a financial goal, to any kind of goal, that energy is going to be felt by my people. It's going to be felt in my conversations. It's going to be felt when I make invitations to people to work with me. It's going to be felt in my marketing. And the stronger that is, whether it comes across exactly in my words or not, people are going to feel that. And ultimately, that is not an energy from which I want to come from when I'm sharing this work with people. So, 2025 was an exercise and a practice in how to be committed and unattached. What does it mean to set goals and have goals that you're aiming for and dreaming of and actively pursuing, and also not taking it personally if you don't meet them, not holding on with a death grip, not making it mean something terrible about myself if I don't reach those results? So, again, working on this skill of surrender, of being committed and unattached is going to be a tremendous support as I continue to set goals, because this is not about not setting goals. I believe that it's valuable to have goals, and also, again, of like how to do that dance between having goals and surrendering the attachment to them. So this year was a beautiful playground to explore and experiment with that. The next massive transformation that came from not hitting my goals this year was learning to focus on the gain versus the gap. So, this is a concept that I was introduced to from the book 10x is Easier Than 2x. And in that book, they talk about how, especially entrepreneurs or people who are very motivated and, have big goals that they're pursuing, there's this tendency to always look for how far we have to go and what's missing, what's the gap between where we are now and that ultimate outcome that we're aiming for. And no matter how much growth we've had, all of that just like doesn't matter. So this year, I really increased my awareness around seeing how addicted I was to focusing on the gap and how much I refused to celebrate the gain and really celebrate how far I've come. And again, this is so important because it fuels the energy from which you come from. So when I was focused on the gap, that was an energy of lack, of not enoughness, of frustration, of focusing on what's not working, versus when I'm focused on the gain, that is building confidence. It's building courage. It's building reinforcement of, wow, look at all the obstacles I've overcome. Look at all the ways I've grown. Look at all the things that are working. Look at everything that's incredible about my life and my business right now. So over 2025, I really explored this concept in so many ways. I did a mind map drawing of my entire life and tracked all of the times that I've experienced quantum leaps, all the ways that I've grown, and doing that exercise and training my brain to look for what I've gained versus what was missing has given me an entirely new lens to look through. And this is something also that hugely transformed my story and how I tell the story about my life and how I tell the story about my business. And it was also something that had me say yes to being interviewed on my friend's podcast, Empowered Abundance. And I'll put a link to that in the show notes in case you missed it. And that podcast was all about telling the story of my business since year one up to now, the past 7 years, and sharing my income, sharing all the ways that I've grown. And in order for me to have been able to do that publicly and share that, I had to transform my belief in what I've created and be able to look at my journey and see the growth and see all the things I've transformed over the years and really feel proud of my journey. And I know that alone, if that was the only thing I accomplished this year, that is going to be such powerful fuel as I continue to grow my business. Because again, yes, I'm always going to keep setting goals. And now I can set those goals fueled by gratitude, fueled by empowerment, fueled by belief in how I've overcome challenges, fueled by belief in my capacity to create beautiful things I've never created before. And that is such a different energy to come from. And again, that wouldn't have happened if I had just easily reached my goals this year and not had to think about any of this. Another huge lesson or gift that came from this is that I really feel like I increased my self love, my compassion, my feeling of enoughness, and also my capacity to feel my feelings. Because when you're not hitting goals, lots of feelings might come up: disappointment, judgment, shame, criticism, whatever it is. And instead of running from those feelings and being afraid of those feelings, I practiced and developed the skill of being with those feelings, of inviting them in and not judging myself for having them, and then offering myself the self love, the compassion, the affirmation, the validation that the inner child in me was craving. Because in the past, I used to be this like dictator that was so mean. I would say things I said to myself in my brain were so mean. And if I really thought about saying things like that to a child, to myself as a child, hopefully I would never do that. So, being faced with this year and bringing all of these feelings up to the surface allowed me to heal so much and allowed me to, again, love myself on such a deeper level. So now, as I continue to take bigger and bigger risks in my business, no matter what happens, I can love myself through it. I can have compassion for myself. I can encourage myself and say things like, wow, you are amazing for having taken that risk. I am so proud of you. Like what I would say to a child if they were trying a sport for the first time or whatever it is. Like I am almost getting tears in my eyes right now thinking about this level of encouragement and how supportive I would be to a child or anyone who's courageously trying something that they've never done and attempting to reach for bigger and bigger dreams of truly how miraculous that is and how much courage that takes. And I can really feel so proud of myself for not only 2025, but for my entire business journey and my entire journey of my life. And I can just treat myself with so much more kindness than I could a year ago. The next biggest gift was being able to strengthen my ability to trust myself in the face of uncertainty, to really learn to calm my nervous system in the face of the unknown. Because again, the life of an entrepreneur comes with all kinds of risks and all kinds of certainty. That's really part of the journey that you can't avoid. So learning to build these muscles and turn inward to question the limiting thoughts. So when my brain was like spinning out in, oh my gosh, what's going to happen if I don't meet this goal, and getting caught up in all of this uncertainty and panic, I was able to catch those thoughts and begin to question them, question the validity of them, question the thoughts that were telling me I wasn't capable of navigating those challenges, and again, begin to build the internal belief system, the Phoenix mindset that I call it, that I am capable of navigating anything. I'm capable of navigating any challenge that comes my way. I am capable of supporting myself and finding evidence of all the ways I've done that and all the ways I will continue to do that. I'm capable of reminding myself how and why I am safe and secure in this moment. Because again, the primitive brain seeks safety, it seeks certainty. And being able to build this skill of feeling safe and secure in the body without needing external circumstances to prove that is a tremendously valuable skill, especially for entrepreneurs or anyone. If you're listening and you want to bet on yourself and blaze your own path, do something that feels unknown, this skill is so tremendously valuable. So I got so much practice this year on building that belief and continuing to build my belief and my ability to bet on myself, to take bold steps into the unknown, to take inspired actions and risks that felt really intentional, that would support me in moving towards the direction I want to move to, and also building the belief that I can navigate whatever happens with those risks that I take, no matter how they turn out. So this was a tremendously valuable skill that I know is going to serve me for the rest of my business and in every area of my life. Another huge skill, and this was actually my overall theme and intention for the year, was around experimental spirit. So in 2025, I really strengthened this skill of experimentation and also building resiliency in the face of failure and practicing not taking things personally. So when I honed in on this intention of experimental spirit for 2025, I think about an inventor or a researcher. If they're testing out different methods, different hypotheses about something, they're not making it mean something about themselves if the science experiment doesn't turn out how expected. They take notes, they learn from whatever they did, and they try something new in their next round, in their next test. So I really strengthened that skill this year to be able to experiment with different things in my business and learn from them. And if I didn't get the results that I had predicted, I was able to evaluate and get curious about what worked, what didn't, what would I want to do differently. And that is a tremendously valuable skill that I'm so grateful to have begun to develop, and I know I will continue to. And again, if things had just happened exactly as I predicted and planned in 2025, I don't think I would have practiced this skill as much. And I wouldn't have had the opportunity to strengthen this muscle of developing resiliency in the face of failure, of not taking things personally if I'm not getting the results that I predicted or planned. And it was also an opportunity to challenge the thoughts in my brain whenever they said, I don't know. I don't know what happened. I don't know how to create different results. Experimental spirit is all about asking, well, what's your best guess? What's your hypothesis? And being willing to trust that and being willing to experiment with that and letting go of needing to control and having that attachment to things needing to happen a certain way, but being able to surrender that and be willing to take inspired action and learn as I go. The next huge gift that I experienced from not meeting this goal was around letting go of comparison. And I really strengthened my ability to be happy for my peers as they were reaching bigger goals and accomplishing huge, beautiful things. And this is something, again, I've been working on for many years and feel like I've come a long way around. And I really see that I was able to do this at a much deeper level this year and recognize that just because someone else met a big goal, it doesn't mean anything about me. It doesn't mean I'm not capable. It doesn't mean that I'm failing. It doesn't mean that I'm behind. And I was able to question these beliefs and again come back to giving myself that self-love, that compassion, that affirmation that I was craving, instead of needing the external validation of seeing that in my own numbers in order to love myself, in order to love my business, in order to love my journey. So the more I was able to do this, the more I was able to love myself, the more I was truly able to celebrate my peers. And this is huge because I plan to continue putting myself in containers for the rest of my business where people are quote unquote ahead of me, where people have created results that I have yet to create. And if I was stuck in comparison, if I was stuck in not good enough, then I wouldn't be able to learn from them. And I also wouldn't be able to contribute to them because just because someone has reached a different income in their business doesn't mean that I don't have tremendous value that I can contribute to that person. So this year, I was able to show up in a bigger way, be more valuable in a bigger way for myself as well as for my peers, and believe that we can all learn from each other and uplift each other. And I don't have to make it mean anything that whatever level of success they're at. And this is not to say I didn't have feelings when I saw some of my friends and some of my peers hitting their goals. I for sure did. And I was able to come back to that self love, notice the thoughts in my head, question them, and continue to come back to the empowered beliefs that I wanted to practice and believe for myself. The next gift that was so huge from this is that I know this year I have been brewing medicine that will support all of my client journeys, especially if they're navigating some of the things that I was navigating this year. If they're navigating setting goals and not reaching them, if they're navigating feeling ashamed of their journey, not feeling good enough, I now have embodied experience at a whole other level of going through that journey. And like I said, the podcast that I was on earlier this year, I was on a couple podcasts actually, and being able to tell my story from that empowered place inspired me to incorporate that into my coaching. So that's why now in Own Your Becoming, the 6-month coaching journey I take people on, there's an opportunity to come on this podcast so that you can embrace your story and share it powerfully. And I'm offering that again because of the embodied experience I had of why that was so transformational. So that wouldn't have happened if I hadn't experienced that for myself. So I know that going on this journey, like I said, is going to make me so much more valuable as a coach, and all the tools that I developed for myself this year to navigate all of these things. Now I use these to support my clients to build these things for themselves, to build up a Phoenix mindset, to build up their capacity to feel their feelings no matter what, to tell empowering stories about themselves, to evaluate and learn from their experience without taking it personally. All of these things I have grown mastery in and am supporting my clients on deeper and deeper levels every single day. The last thing that I really want to celebrate as a gift from this journey is that I now have an increased capacity for joy, awe, and gratitude in this moment. This feels so huge. And again, I feel like I have never been prouder in my business. I've never been more grateful. I've never been more in awe about the life I've created and the work that I get to do. And I feel this on like a visceral level. And again, I don't think I would have developed this if I had just met my goals easily. Going on this journey was this deep initiation in self love, in expanding these capacities, in releasing attachment, releasing external validation. So now, again, no matter what is going on in my business, no matter whether I'm wildly exceeding my goals or if I have a challenging year, no matter what happens, I can still access these feelings of joy, gratitude, awe, celebration. And that feels huge because these are the feelings that I want to cultivate in my life. And I've built this skill and muscle and being able to cultivate them from the inside out without needing my external circumstances to be any different. Wow. So I'm celebrating myself so hard this year. And like I said, there's so much gold available in failure. And when you can let go of taking it personally, making it mean something about yourself if you didn't hit these goals, this treasure can be used to fuel you in the future. So, here are a few questions you can ask yourself if you feel like there's some goal or milestone you've failed to reach. Number one, what are the lessons you've learned that you wouldn't have learned if you had met your goal? So, asking yourself, looking back on your own experience, what are the lessons you've learned that you wouldn't have learned if you had met your goal? Number two, why is that growth or experience so incredibly valuable? How could that support you as you continue to pursue this goal or any goal in the future? Number 3, what skills or strengths did you develop from pursuing this goal and quote unquote failing? And number 4, why would you not wish this experience away? How could what you experienced actually be more valuable to you than had you hit your goal with ease? If you ask yourself these questions and really sit with them, I know you are going to distill so much gold, so much treasure from your experience that will fuel you in the future and potentially propel your success even more than had you hit your goals easily. So I really invite you to spend some time and sit with them. And if you are craving support with this, like I said earlier, this is exactly what inspired me to create Own Your Becoming. It's a 6-month coaching container that is all about owning your journey, feeling proud of how far you've come, building these skills, these muscles of confidence and courage and self love internally without needing them externally, and being able to pursue your goals from a place of passion, from a place of commitment, from a place of joy, instead of a place of pressure, lack, or not enoughness. And this 6-month container weaves together one-on-one coaching, monthly group experiences, a feng shui identity audit, an opportunity to be on this podcast, and it also includes, if you're local to me, an opportunity to do a photo shoot. So there's so many different pieces of this container that will guide you through powerful initiations that I know have the capacity to transform your life. Because there is nothing, I believe, more valuable than doing this inner work, than really loving yourself, feeling confident, embracing your journey, having fun as you pursue your goals, not from attachment, but from commitment. So much is possible when you're fueled by that energy. So if you're curious to learn more about this program, if you want to see if this work is right for you, go to ginacasbarro.com/own your becoming and book a free clarity call. We'll spend time exploring, what is it that your heart desires that's calling you forward? What are those obstacles or roadblocks that have been getting in your way? And how could this program and these skills support you in being able to overcome that and create and live your most authentic, inspired life? So if you're curious to learn more, go to ginacasbarro.com/own your becoming and book one of those clarity calls. I would love to connect and find out if this journey is right for you. And our first monthly Spark session, where all the people in this container come together, is in January. So if you want to get in on that first experience where we're all going to come together and vision and dream and drop into intuitive guidance and set yearly and monthly intentions from an inspired place, book one of these calls and see if this is the next step that is calling your heart forward. All right, my friends, I am sending you so much love. I hope that you celebrate yourself in your failure and celebrate yourself for having the courage to pursue whatever it is that you are pursuing. And I'm wishing you so much love, and I'll talk to you soon.